all you marvelous dudes and dudettes, Toyshiz here, and today we're going to be talking about who in the holy heck are Cloak and Dagger from the upcoming Marvel Legends Spider-Man wave that features the SPDR Build-A-Figure. Your story is quite interesting, a little, complicated in some aspects, but we're going to make it through together. We'll get this done. So without further ado, here is Cloak and Dagger. So what I'll do is I will tell you all about Cloak and Dagger first, and then we can all talk about the new Hasbro Marvel Legends figures that will be coming out probably around summer to fall, depending on release dates and things hitting ridiculously early or sometimes even ridiculously late. Cloak and Dagger were created by Bill Mantlo after he took a visit to Ellis Island. He kind of took everything that he saw there and created these two superpowered beings. So that's kind of interesting to think about. Now, Cloak, his real name is Tyrone Johnson. And as a youth, he struggled kind of with a stuttering disability, and he had a friend that he grew up with, always tried to help him out with that. One night, they got caught up in some, like a robbery and some police action, and because of his stuttering, his friend Billy was killed by the police. Kind of always blamed himself for that sort of thing, and as time passed, he ended up in New York, broke, penniless, starving, and everything. Came across a young woman named Tandy Bowen, who, he was gonna just straight up rob. She ends up getting robbed by some other dude, and he ends up saving her as a result. That, works out pretty well. Anyways, they become friends, living on the street and such like that. Now, Tandy, she's a rich girl, she's a runaway, and they quickly befriend each other, helping each other out in certain situations on the street. They actually meet up with a couple of no-good-nicks who lead them into a trap by this bad dude named Simon Marshall. Now, Simon Marshall is a guy, he's developing a synthetic heroin for the crime boss Silvermane. And for those who remember the old, well, at least this is where I remember Silvermane, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon show. Silvermane played quite a big role in the, I believe, the end of the second and into the third seasons. He ended up turning into a baby. I don't know. It was weird. Anyways, so they get captured by this guy. They get experimented on, drug injections, all that stuff. They end up escaping. While they're escaping, they learn that they have become superpowered, probably due to this synthetic heroin being injected into them. Now, what happens is that Tyrone ends up becoming like a shadowy, weird body kind of thing, and Tandy ends up becoming like this light projection, so darkness and light. Realizing that they now have these powers, obviously Tyrone, he takes the name Cloak, and Tandy becomes Dagger. Now, because of what happened to Tyrone, he essentially kind of becomes like a zombie in a certain sense. He needs to continuously drain people of their light, of kind of like their souls in a way, and that's he kind of feeds off of Dagger, and then at the same time she needs him to feed off her because she releases a lot of power that builds up into her and basically helps her not become explosive in a certain light. Anyways, it's kind of like a weird symbiotic relationship. So they end up going to war with every drug dealer on the street. They team up with Spider-Man. They end up killing Silvermane, actually. And they're street level heroes. They're they would make for a good Netflix. We'll get into that in a second. But they're on the par with Punisher and Daredevil and such like that. They deal with real world problems as opposed to space aliens and killer Thanos people. Their main story arc that at least I remember, now they still exist in comics and everything to this day, but they played a heavy part in Maximum Carnage from the 90s. Cloak and Dagger ended up teaming up with Spider-Man, Captain America, Black Cat, Morbius, and a lot of other characters to help stop Carnage, Shriek, Doppelganger, the Demo Goblin. It was a huge 13-issue arc, and Venom ended up getting involved in the story involving Cloak and Dagger. Cloak was incapacitated at one point, and Spider-Man was actually going to be killed by the character Shriek. In trying to save Spider-Man, basically Dagger threw herself into the fire and was killed, quote unquote. Now, as the issues kept going, you were kind of under the impression that Dagger was killed, wherein she was just recuperating within the nature of Cloak's shadowy body. So, yeah, it makes total sense, right? And then she ends up returning and pretty much stops Carnage's group, and then leads to the final battle between Spider-Man and Venom against Carnage. Over the years, they've teamed up with the New Mutants, the Power Pack, various Marvel Comics superheroes, especially Spider-Man. They showed up in the recent Spider Island where they actually switched powers, which was kind of interesting. There actually was a television show that's been rumored for a while and was announced last year that they're going to be making an actual Cloak and Dagger television show, which will premiere on the Freeform channel on June 7th of this year of 2018. So that's pretty interesting. It stars Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph as Cloak and Dagger, obviously. And being that this is the Freeform channel, they're not going to go so much into the heroin superpower kind of aspect of these characters. Apparently, the synopsis is they develop a romantic relationship while on the streets, and they discover they both have powers that seem to work better as they're together. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. And it's developed by Marvel. You know, it'll have a good aesthetic to it. You know, Marvel, they know what they're doing at this point. I think it's a win-win situation. Now, this coming, let's say summer to fall, kind of third quarter, we will be seeing a new Spider-Man Marvel Legends wave by Hasbro, and the Build-A-Figure will be the SPDR robot, which I've spoken about. My first Who in the Holy Heck videos. I can't wait for that one. That one looks amazing. But a lot of people have been asking me, which is why I did the video, is who are Cloak and Dagger? Now, what's really interesting is that Cloak's head on the figure becomes, it's entangled within the cloak. So it all pops off into one piece, but the cloak can support itself. So what you can actually do is put Dagger within the cloak so you can kind of reenact how it looks in the comics. She always seems to emerge out of his cloak. He's basically kind of like a teleportation sort of device. So yeah, it's interesting. And it's a nice creativity on Hasbro's part, kind of like the pork rind figure that's going to be coming out in the Venom wave that you can, pop off Eddie Brock's head and then essentially have a nice villain for Spider-Ham to battle. I always like, when Hasbro kind of throws in these little Easter eggs from time to time. And, if Cloak and Dagger is any indication, will be well taken care of far into the future. So that's basically the lowdown on Cloak and Dagger. Like I said, they're low-level street heroes. They're not, super popular or anything. But I feel like, in recent years, due to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, every single hero, every single character in some light can become popular. And I do hope that Cloak and Dagger reach that level of popularity. New characters for a new generation. Totally on board. Anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button. I love doing these types of who in the holy heck are these characters. There's a lot of random obscure characters that happen a lot in Marvel Legends, and I'm happy to help. Plus, as I always say, I get to learn weird and interesting facts about some of these characters, especially today with Cloak and Dagger, because I don't remember any of this backstory from Maximum Carnage. Also, please hit the notification bell. That way it'll let you know whenever I make another one of these videos. So, and I do hope you tune in, and also leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Cloak and Dagger based on kind of what I told you. Based on the images that you're seeing and stuff like that. I think they're a very cool dynamic. Also, if you are on Twitter and Instagram, please follow me at Toyshiz. I want you guys to all have a great week, and I will talk to you all soon. Adios.